So it's here, the Kopi Deva, a beautiful new variable RPM espresso grinder that could totally disrupt the mid to high-end coffee grinder space. I'm gonna do a full review once I've had a little bit more time to spend with this grinder making espressos every single day, but before the Kickstarter ends, I wanted to give you my first impressions so that if you're interested, you can snag one at the Kickstarter price. Let's get into this. So first, just look at this baby. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, especially if you sit it next to a more conventional looking grinder. I mean, this is definitely going to be a conversation piece if you have your coffee bar in a visible place. On style alone for me, this wins all the awards. I love steampunk, and I'm definitely getting a steampunk vibe from this with the wood finish and brushed steel. I'm also super grateful to Brandon at Kopi Concepts for lending me this so that I can give my opinions and share it with you home espresso lovers. In terms of design and materials, the whole thing feels super high quality. The metal has a great finish and there are no telltale signs of welding or the machining process anywhere.
The button and switch both have this nice, satisfying clicky sound to them, which I really like. It just feels really great to use, which I think is super important in something that you're going to use every single day. I'm not enthused about the power button being right behind the place where you put your portafilter, but I've already been assured by Brandon that the design has changed for the final version, which will have the go button on the side. I have fat thumbs, so pressing it behind here was a bit annoying. There's also a faint blue glow of the battery LEDs showing how much battery power there is left.
Yes, you heard me right, the Kopi Deva can run on its own battery power, which is charged with the included power plug. I've ground around 15 espressos with this thing without plugging it in, and it's still on around 4 bars. I'll let you know if I run into any issues using this thing on battery power, but I'm guessing most people like me will have it plugged in next to their espresso machine, but this is useful for people who might use it in the kitchen where they don't have enough power ports.
Rather than just dumping the coffee out through a tube, on the Deva it comes out to the sides and it's caught by this funnel that spins the coffee grind so they distribute evenly without clumping together like they might in a more traditional machine.
It's definitely a novel approach to the problem of clumping, and I've had mostly very fluffy grinds with the Kopi Deva. However, the first time I used it, I did find a little bit of clumping up inside the funnel, but after I started using the Ross droplet technique, or the RDT, which involves a little spray bottle that actually comes with the Kopi Deva, you spray a light mist over the coffee beans before you put them in the hopper, and then that should deal with a lot of the static that causes that clumping. Once I started doing this, I didn't have that problem anymore. It's also a very quiet grinder compared to most that I've used. It helps that you can adjust to the RPM, but even towards the maximum of 1000 RPM, I still found that it was much quieter than my WPM grinder. There is no hopper on the Kopi Deva, it's a single dose grinder, which I generally prefer at home anyway. So I spray the beans twice or 3 times with the little spray that's provided, and then pour the beans in the top bit. It's not a hopper, right? Like, I don't really know what to call it, it's just the hole at the top, or I'm going to call it the gobble. It's called the gobble now.
Once my beans are in the gobble, I nestle my portafilter in this pretty wooden cup thingy and pop on the dosing funnel to make sure the grinds don't end up all over my counter. The spray of water helps to reduce the static so I don't have coffee grinds flying everywhere, but a dosing funnel is quite common to help with reducing cleanup. Then I turn it on and get that sweet, sweet fluffy grind. How cool does that look?
So I know what you want to ask, how does it grind for espresso? Well, I haven't had weeks and weeks to test this for multiple espressos a day, so I will do a full breakdown of grind sizes in my final review. Also important to note, the team at Kopi were testing switching out for high uniformity SSP red burrs, so when they sent them to me, it came pre-installed. They also sent me the stock burrs, so I will be switching them in before I do my final review, but I want to ask Brandon about how to do that properly for this machine first. I've never actually swapped out grinder burrs before, and I don't think it's that complicated, but I didn't want to screw something up before I had a chance to test it and get as much video footage as possible.
With the SSP red burrs, I dialed it in for an espresso at around 4.9 at 500 RPM, which at the moment I have to guess where that speed is because there are no notches or indicators of what speed the burrs are going, but a guide will be added to the final retail version.
All I can say is that so far the shots have been absolutely beautiful. Look at how evenly this shot comes out. This shows really great uniformity of the coffee grind. I'll be sure to post some quick pictures and videos with a bottomless portafilter using the stock burrs once I've switched them in, so before I release my final review you can check those out on my Instagram.
Now, why 500 RPM? I know this is why a lot of you tuned into this video and are interested in the Kopi Deva, and that's because having adjustable RPM is crazy on a grinder at this price. Grinding faster will get you your coffee quicker, obviously, but it also makes the beans bounce around in the hopper, can increase static, and causes more fines and boulders, so you might need to dial a little coarser to get similar extraction.
I've seen some advice in other places to try grinding at 50 to 100 RPM to get a finer grind setting with more uniformity. However, this took a really long time. Who has time for that? I mean, it's called espresso, not slow-o. Also, grinding very slowly increases the amount of heat that's generated by the grinder and on the coffee beans, and you don't really want to have extra warm coffee beans when you start. That doesn't really help with your extraction. So my first impressions of the Kopi Deva are very positive. It looks beautiful, it makes fluffy grinds, and the espresso shots from it are delicious. Unfortunately, I have to send this one back after I do my review, but I'm going to try and find the money to get in on the Kickstarter because this machine looks like it could be a niche killer. As many of you know, if you're watching this, the Niche Zero has been the king of the grassroots, crowdfunded, surprisingly good espresso grinders for a long time, but it's been pretty hard to get a hold of. Who knows, maybe the Kopi Concept Deva will give the Niche Zero some really stiff competition at this price point. If you want to see the full review I'll do once I've had a little bit more time with the Kopi Deva, go ahead and subscribe. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, you wonderful overcaffeinated people, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm gonna do a more in-depth review about this grinder once I've been with it. Lending me this so that I can give my opinions. I'm gonna give my opinions. And it's still on 4 battery power. 4 points of battery power. The included light spray before you put them into the hopper. Then I had that problem no more. No more! I did find a little clumping up inside the funnel, which meh.